And I'm pleased to invite Dana Carroll up to the podium.
Great, thanks Donna. And oh my gosh, I'm so inspired by the youth. It's just wonderful to hear their voices. So I hope everyone is doing well on the second day. I've managed to not only lose, but find my name tag. So I'm on a good trajectory today. I have the pleasure of hosting the second selected presentation session. Donna's discussed this yesterday, but when the Planning Committee was exploring ways to meet our goals and foster collaboration, throughout the event, we were excited to see how you all are doing work in your communities and organizations. And so it's a pleasure to be able to showcase some of this work. Just as a reminder, you can also visit the display tables in the beautiful Heritage Gallery space near where you checked in. You can also visit the website, which was emailed out and will show on the screen during lunch to visit our virtual presenters too. This morning, we are pleased to have 3 presentations derived from those submissions to share with us on their amazing work. I encourage you all to follow up with each other, make connections, learn and collaborate with each other during this event, and we hope afterwards as well. We will have time for Q&A with the presenters at the end of the session too, so jot down those really thought-provoking comments and questions, and we'll get to them at the end. So with that, I'm just really pleased to introduce our first presenter, Catherine Zing, and she's on behalf of the ACAF Youth Cessation Group. All right, everyone, we're back in action. So if you can just make your way back to your table after our nice stretch break. We lost the mouse on the laptop, which is critical for anything that you try to do. I'm also impressed, I don't think at least no one has yet to sit on the water feature over here and walk away with a wet bum, so you guys are doing great. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start this again, and I'm just pleased to bring up Catherine, who's gonna kick off a session on the ACAF Youth Cessation work.
Hijakishana hinikarigiwe, Ho-chunk rashira wihanga hinigaide, maihete rashira Catherinega hinigaide, I naga hipiwa waje. Hello, greetings to each and every one of you. Hang on, I'm gonna just adjust my mic. Okay, I am the second eldest daughter of my family. My English name is Catherine, and I am doing very good this morning, and I am standing before you all. What I'm going to be presenting to you today is just some of the youth cessation work that I was honored and privileged to work with ACAF. If you are familiar with the American Indian Cancer Foundation, the majority of our work isn't centered around youth tobacco cessation work yet. And we were able to become a part of a community service learning project of where a colleague and I were able to partner with youth high school student researchers and create like a community deliverable centered around commercial tobacco cessation. So yeah, my name is Catherine. I'm a prevention and policy coordinator at ACAF, and I am a member of the Ho-chunk Nation. Kind of borrowing from my colleague Wyatt yesterday to get to know you, or get to know myself a little bit more. This is a picture of my family. And I'm using this photo because this is my first time at this conference, and I'm going to be calling into the room my grandma, Cindy. And I'm going to be just thinking about her this morning, as I've been thinking about her this whole week as I've been coming up here. You know, getting into Minneapolis, I reside in Phoenix, Arizona, traditional Peeposh Otham lands, and I don't know, it always feels really good to return up north and be closer to where all my family's at in Black River Falls. And this is my grandma, Cindy. She is in the spirit world, and I just wanted to say thank you to all the grandmas in the room right now. And if you catch me looking at you while I'm presenting, it's just where I draw strength from all the grandmas in the room. So thank you again. So what I'll be sharing with you this morning is just the Community Service Learning Partnership itself between ACAF and the MSM program through the University of Minnesota, and then how potentially you'll be able to use student researcher internship projects in any of your youth initiatives with Indigenous youth. Okay. So typically what my job looks like is we're technical assistant support providers for a lot of different tribal communities in the Minnesota area. A huge thing that ACAF is really good at is culturally specific and tailored resources for our community partners. Having recent conversations with some of my colleagues, you know, that's something that our organization does really well. People come to us to get and receive these resources that the community itself is actually going to listen to because it is community-led. Whoa, this is very small. So the process of the mentorship was in October of 2021, ACAF was given the opportunity through the University of Minnesota and some networking to be a community partner with high school students in the Twin Cities area. We started with 2 students, ended up with 1, and we are so proud of the work that our student that ended up completing the program was able to do. Again, this started in October of 2021, and it is finished. Actually, we have our celebration of the culmination of the project itself tomorrow, and the student was asking the question, how can a vaping resource more effectively reach Somali youth and family members in the Twin Cities area? Our student researcher is Somali, and after conducting a literature review that took place, back in October and November area, because we created like a whole project timeline for our student. She noticed that there were no vaping resources available that were relevant to her community, and a huge component of that was language translation. So one thing that I want to bring up about our youth is that they do have the knowledge and the wisdom to be able to gauge what their community already needs and already has. So one interview that we had with our student, and it's an important thing that I want to bring up, is we asked her, you know, where she saw this project going, because it was all informed by the student. We didn't, as a community organization, come to the student high schooler and say, this is what you need your project to look like as, you know, an intern with our organization. The student was the one who informed us the work that she wanted to be doing. And she, you know, in a very candid interview at the beginning of this process, told us, you know, I'm kind of embarrassed. You know, there are members of my community who don't speak English very well, so that's why I think this resource would work. And, you know, we kind of reworked some of that, why there is no shame in that. But doing a quick little, research with the U.S. Census Bureau, it was reported in a 2015 to 2019 survey that over 41% of Somali residents in the Minnesota area did not speak English very well. So I'm bringing that up because our Somali student, with the lived experience that she had, was able to gauge something, if not better, than what the U.S. Census Bureau was able to do. Because she knew her community better, she was in her community, and that was her lived experience. And that was something that we trusted her with, that she was going to be able to know what her community needed more than we could. So the biggest deliverables we had with this project were these 2 vaping resources, one in English and one translated into Somali. Here we go. Yeah. Okay, so this is some of the final resource development itself. This is going to be the Somali version. And because we had some time crunch lines, you know, the brochure itself, there was so much that we had intended for this program to be able to evaluate the success of the brochure itself. But I think someone mentioned this yesterday. The success of this program can be measured in a lot of different aspects. We did complete the 2 final resources, so Somali again, and the English version. And these 2 resources are going to be given to Welshare International, of where it's another local community organization here in the Twin Cities that is dedicated to cancer research, and health equity within immigrant and refugee communities. So I know that this is with a Somali student, and some of you might be thinking, okay, why is this relevant? But I do really, really value the aspect that it was student-led. By a student researcher, I love that language because it gives this sense of ownership to the student involved. And it was entirely youth-informed. There was nothing about this project of where we told the student, again, that they needed to complete something within our directive or with our agenda in mind. This was entirely created by the student through the University of Minnesota. So one thing that I want to bring up is that our youth have the knowledge and the wisdom to be able to create these types of initiatives and to also follow them through and inform their communities and create change. A huge aspect of this was language translation. And as an Indigenous person, as a Ho-Chunk person, I once had a language teacher tell me that, you know, some of our languages are falling asleep, and he purposefully used the word asleep because he doesn't believe that a language ever is completely gone. And as he was sitting there, you know, explaining that the people who are left who are going to carry on our language are not only our elders, but they're going to be our babies. So a huge part of this is I'm envisioning for the future, you know, when our Indigenous youth are invited into resource initiatives and all these great things, you know, messaging that says no to no to vaping, no to e-cigarettes. I think we can take a critical look of how much of that is actually being youth led and youth informed. There were some great presentations already this morning that highlighted actually youth-led work. There is like a youth member already who presented, that's awesome. I think we need to, as we all are kind of networking around each other, really critically look at the resources that we're putting out there for our youth. Are they actually being led by our youth? Are they involving cultural components that are relevant to our youth? And are they encouraging language preservation within our communities? Again, a huge aspect of this was language preservation. And I actually have a video that I want to share with you, if it loads. Yeah, cool. And this was just a post-evaluation interview that we had with our student researcher, where she kind of talks about the program success and her experience with ACAF. Does anyone know how to start a video? Yeah, it was.
Do you know where the link? Let's see. So whatever PowerPoint. So whatever it was linked to, if it was like a file, it just didn't copy over. Do you know if it's on YouTube?
It's not.
Okay.
Dang.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'll just sum it up. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Actually, the video is not going to play. So sorry about that. It was actually a really cool video where our student's going to be coming during the lunchtime presentation because she also informed some of the poster work that we did that's hanging up in the hall. But anyway, in summary, we asked her several questions. Some of them, you know, what makes her proud to be Somali? And a huge part of that was that she was able to use her first language, which was Somali, to be able to inform a resource that she believes is helping her community. We also asked her what she believes needs to change to see tobacco cessation become a reality, commercial tobacco cessation become a reality for our communities. And she mentioned that advertising is incredibly dangerous to youth, and that also more youth need to be involved in this kind of work. And I think yeah, I think that's all I can remember from the interview, so sorry about that. And so I just want to leave you all with this before we move on, is to trust that our youth have the wisdom and solutions to address health disparities which afflict their friend groups and their peer groups. And then also challenging you all to encourage and to develop resources that have language preservation built into them already, again, led by youth. And then to value the voices of teenagers in resource development programs. A huge kind of approach we took to all of this was that listening was going to precede dialogue always, that we were going to listen to the youth first. Project Thailand that was entirely formed by our youth student researcher, and then also the resource in the end that was, again, entirely informed by a student researcher. I think, I don't know, we can just really take a critical eye at the resources being developed. Are they actually going to help youth quit? That was another thing that was brought up that in the interview that I wish we could have kind of seen, is she interviewed her peers at her high school and was able to capture this perception of vaping within her community from her friends. And some of them who did vape mentioned how hard it was to quit. And so, do we have any resources that are describing the quitting process or able to, direct youth in a more corrective way or direct way how to quit rather than just like texting a quick quit line? And then also, how are we going to cultivate youth meeting spaces to influence an impactful change? A huge component about this internship that made it so successful was we weren't just extracting this time and energy from these youth participants. They were part of a paid internship, and they were paid well. They were part of, not only did they receive stipends, but they also received hourly wages. And I think that's a huge thing within our communities, is that we have to make sure that our people who we're working with feel taken care of, that their knowledge and that their wisdom isn't just being taken advantage of or extracted again. So Pinagigi, thank you so much for listening to me this morning, and any questions I think we answer at the end. There's my contact information. I wish I could have played the video. We might be able to play it during lunchtime or a break, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Catherine, and I think we'll get the video going, because I think everyone would really like to watch it and hear more from the youth. So our next presentation is from Ray O'Leary, and she'll be presenting on the Canli Coalition tobacco education work that she is doing. So Ray.
Thank you, Dana. So some of you have visited our booth in the room to the side here, and we are all about sharing resources. The Canli Coalition has been together since 2009, and after 6 years of advocacy, was able to get a comprehensive smoke-free air policy passed for the reservation. So because of that, we've had a lot of people reach out and say, we want this for our community. How do we do this? What works? What are the lessons learned? And we had so many of those calls that we decided just to make a toolkit. So we are all about sharing. We don't want to sit on any of our information and keep it for ourselves. If there's something that we can do to help another tribal community be more successful or more efficient, or have better resources and new ideas, that's what this toolkit is all about. So we're just going to kind of click around here, and I'll share a couple highlights. Okay. Okay, it looks like perfect. I can navigate. Does the mouse go to this screen? That's where I see it. Oh, here we go. Yes, here we go. Yep, we can just search in there. Perfect. Okay.
So you can type in
So here we go. You type in findyourpowersd.com. TA, no internet connection. Bear with us here. While they get that going, I'm just going to share, if you stop by our booth, we have some fun magnets from our Chunli Coalition. We have these books, which are illustrated by our local youth advanced art class. It's called Helping Tui Quit Chunli, which is helping Auntie quit smoking. And it's a story of two, a brother and sister, that kind of navigate that conversation in a good way, in a safe way. It also educates about secondhand smoke and how it affects all of our relatives. And there are some discussion questions in the back that are good for conversation within classrooms or even in your own household if you're reading this at bedtime to your children. So grab one of these. The more you take, the less I have to haul home. And then also you will find these cards at our table. If you've taken one, please save this, pin it to your bulletin on your desk, set it, prop it up on your desk. We hope that this is a continual reminder that there's resources out there. If I know that there's been so many amazing stories shared and so much progress made in the world of tribal tobacco, and if you're just getting started to this, it can be really intimidating to see these coalitions and these youth that have been at this for years and had so much success. So if you're maybe somebody that's just getting started, I think the toolkit might be a great place to just dip your toe in and see what it's all about. And from there, I think your world will be expanded into new areas. So, okay, so this is the Find Your Power webpage. This is actually a State Department of Health webpage within South Dakota, and also a great resource. There's information on Sacred Shinshasha, the Sacred Pipe or Chinupa, Find Your Power Medicine Wheel, and exploitation and targeting issues. There's also information on the health effects, certain populations, vaping, and our quit resources. But within that page, if you click in this top right corner, the Tribal Tobacco Advocacy Toolkit, and I invite you all to open up your computers and flip on your phone. No offense if your eyes are down, because I want you to explore this along with me. This is the Tribal Tobacco Advocacy Toolkit now. So from here, it's a fast scroller. The purpose is to support tribes and tribal allies that want to do this work. I will also mention that probably 70% of my work is in tobacco, but the other portion is in other areas of public health. And this framework should be transferable to other health topics or populations. It doesn't have to be just tribal tobacco work. But if we click the here to enlarge, what we did is a process evaluation to determine what worked for us. And you can see that there are two interconnected circles. One is education and the other is policy. Those are kind of the two main pieces that the Chunli Coalition has worked on since 2009 to be successful. And in the center is community engagement. And the reason that's kind of overlapping is because without community engagement, it's hard to be successful in your education of your community. And without community engagement, it's hard to be successful in policy. So that's kind of that interconnection there. All of the white text on this framework is clickable within the website and has a variety of resources that we'll explore here in just a moment. Okay, so the other thing that's really important within the framework is the cultural lifeways. So at every level, cultural lifeways should be embedded. That's going to be different from community to community, and it's something that should be considered in every single activity, is what the culture is of the community. It's okay to not use all pieces of that framework. Maybe you're somebody that just wants to focus on education for a bit and prevention work. Maybe you're a group that just wants to focus on policy, and that's okay. Or maybe there's times when it makes more sense to focus on one versus the other. So it's iterative. There's no beginning, there's no end. It's just a bunch of resources in there. So we'll go ahead and scroll. There is a print option. If you're somebody that likes to have a physical copy, you can print the toolkit in its entirety with that Print the Toolkit button. There's also a search at the top here where you can search by keyword if there's just one specific thing you're looking for, like youth maybe, for example, or vaping. in the introduction, if you're interested more about the Chunli Coalition's history and their methods to develop the framework, that's here. We also have a plethora of resources and partners that we would recommend if you're just getting started, listservs that you can sign up for, other websites that have good information. And if this little teaser isn't enough for you, there's videos on each of the sections of the toolkit where I just kind of walk you through different pieces of it if you'd like to check that out later. So to start, I'd like to click on the Collect Local Surveys and show a couple of examples in there. Pretty much every page of the toolkit's going to be structured really similar with kind of an intro at the top. Obviously, there's a lot of different things that you can do for surveys in your community, but whatever that is, here's some planning steps to think through what that might look through, all the way from just first determining what your methods are through dissemination, not just collecting that data, but using it in a good way then. Some suggestions for materials needed and resources to inspire you. Sorry, this mouse is really fast. If I'm making you dizzy, I apologize. Follow-up steps, what ifs. So we share a lot of our troubleshooting and hints of things that we've overcome in our own data collection process. And down here you can see examples from the Chunli Coalition. And I'd just like to click on each of these. So this here is a summary of local survey results. And here we did the American Indian Adult Tobacco Survey in 2012, and this is kind of the snapshot look at the results of that. Then we also did some observations of our community just to see how well our ordinance was being enforced, and we sent youth out with a very simple observation form. And they ask, or they fill in where they were, how many entrances there were, if there were signs present, if so, how many and what type. They talk about if there's smoking towers or ashtrays present, or like cigarette butts near the door, if they actually saw people smoking inside or outside. And this was a really good tool to just inform us, how well is the ordinance being enforced, and maybe where are there issues where we need to add a few extra signs or have a one-on-one conversation with a business owner. And then the results of that observation form are this very simple infographic. We used this system to determine if each business passed, had room for improvement, or failed miserably. You can see that there were 30 that passed. We were really proud of them. 62% of the business had at least one smoke-free sign, so we're really happy about that. But that also means that there's still a percentage out there that we need to cover. So we did that following this observation. We broke it down by community for which passed, and then we celebrated those that received our passing score and honored them in the newspaper with some recognition. And then we also mailed this out to all the businesses too, so they could see how they were doing. Another small-scale assessment with the retailers on Cheyenne River. This is one that we actually go in and see what's for sale, how much did the cigarettes cost, how many of our tobacco retailers sell vapes. Are they flavored? What flavors are they? So a lot of just information so you kind of know what the retail environment is. And then following that, we have a summary of our results. This is an older one. We do this about every 2 years, but this is one from 2018 where we compile the results. We also look at the presence of brands that Mrs. Parade or target Native people. We card signs, now it's 21 of course instead of 18. And then what we do with this infographic is take it back to the retailers and have conversations with whoever's at the desk, or if there's a manager or owner available to say, not, that we did this sting on them and we found out bad information, but we come at it from a supportive direction of we want to help them to avoid the sale of tobacco to minors. So here's some tips they might try, and we print off various resources from the FDA. We supply them with card signs, and we've really had some good conversations with the retailers. I think most often they just don't know what they're doing is actually targeting youth, and when we give them concrete examples of how they can reduce those risks, like moving the location of the ads, moving the location of their product, resisting any price reductions that, the 2-for-1 white owls or things like that. They've been very receptive to that, and we've seen some really good progress over the years as these have gone on. So that's just one example of what you can do with the collecting local surveys in your community. we're back at the homepage now. I also want to click on contests just because I have a favorite video I'd like to share in here. We're a very low budget coalition. We make do with what we have. I've been super inspired by some of the amazing videos that have been shared, but if you're on a shoestring budget or you're just getting started, a contest is a wonderful way to kind of showcase some of your local talent, and especially with the youth and artists, we've received rap songs, we've received poetry, we've received photography, paintings, woodwork, all kinds of amazing things when we just say, inspire us with your art about tobacco. And typically we'll give them some themes maybe to follow, and we'll have awards in each. But this whole section of the toolkit will walk you through how to do a contest like that. Maybe you just want to do a specific video contest. And we did that one year with our youth, and we partnered with the schools. Some of the schools did it through their English department, where the English class actually wrote something and then they did a video to go with that. Others worked with their computer class, where the kids were learning iMovie on their tablets, and were able to produce some really great materials for us. So this one here, I'm going to cue our team in the back to go ahead and start the winning video of two of our youth.
Some of the chemicals that are found in tobacco are used in rat poison, cleaning supplies, gasoline, paint, and bug killer. But the ingredients in tobacco products are not listed on the box.
There are over 7,000 chemicals in cigarettes, and 250 of them are poisonous, and 69 of them cause cancer. Even in simple things like shampoo, they're required to show the ingredients on the label.
Hey, do you mind?
Spitting tobacco has over 28 chemicals that are known to cause cancer, and none of them are shown on the label. But in simple things like peas that we eat often, all the ingredients are shown on the back, like for instance, peas, water, sugar, and salt.
Even things like deodorant have the ingredients listed on the back. This is Chinsasa, or sacred tobacco. Chinsasa is all natural, chemical and nicotine free. It is used in prayers and ceremonies. Remember to keep sacred tobacco sacred and do not use commercial tobacco.
All right, so again, this contest cost our coalition probably $500. It's basically your advertising and some prizes to give to the youth. And it's amazing what they come up with. One thing that we found helpful in our contest is to provide them with some facts. So like I said, we have themes. Maybe one theme is traditional tobacco. That might next be secondhand smoke. But with each of those, give them some facts and some talking points and resources so they can go do their own research. And in the process of creating their video, they're actually learning themselves about the topic. So lots of information in there on contests if that's something you're interested for your own tribal community. And then one final thing I'd like to highlight is Identify, Listen, Discuss, which is in the policy section of the toolkit. If you are somebody that is just getting started in policy work, it doesn't have to be an entire reservation, smoke-free, comprehensive policy right out of the bat. That's what we tried to start with in 2009, and we realized that we needed to scale back and start small. So that's what we did and worked on, like smoke-free parks and smoke-free apartment policies. But along with Identify, Listen, Discuss, it's all about finding out who do you need to talk to advocate for this policy. Listen, just say, here's what we're interested in doing. How do you feel about that? Find out what their concerns are, if they're on board already and just need the tools or support, and then have an open discussion with them and some back and forth dialogue. It doesn't have to be this abrasive situation where you're trying to convince them to do something that might be uncomfortable, but just really having that open dialogue with them. And one thing that we do with our coalition members is we prepare talking points. These go to our coalition members to support them, so when they have this one-on-one discussion with a decision maker, that they have good information about the policy and why we want this. And this is also something that we sometimes will put out in the community so they can see what we're up to when it comes to policy work. Transparency is always going to be your friend. There should never be any surprises with policies. It's important that the community knows what's going on and has an opportunity to voice their thoughts. So currently on Cheyenne River, one thing we're working working on right now is the tobacco retailer licensing policy. And you can see this as our talking points for that policy. It has the kind of a breakdown of the 4 proposed changes of restricting flavored tobacco sales, why that's important, and some examples. Restricting the sale of tobacco products that misrepresent or target negative people. Again, why and examples of those. And we're also proposing a 10% tribal tobacco tax. And we use concrete numbers that we got from the revenue office to show what that could potentially generate, as well as a licensing process. Then we have some frequently asked questions where we use our local data to support the need for this, and some references if they're interested. So just a couple of examples of things that are in the toolkit. Again, there are so many resources in there. It is there to be shared, and we just ask that you give credit if you use one of these to adapt it for your own community and throw your own logo on it and your own local data or your photos. That's wonderful. If you just give us a little shout out, so maybe somebody that sees that can also find their way to our toolkit page. So again, pick up one of these cards at our booth so you have a reminder to visit the toolkit. And we do trainings on the toolkit if there's tribes that are interested. So far, we've covered all of South Dakota and North Dakota with trainings on the toolkit. We've also done presentations and trainings for the Intertribal Council of Arizona to some of their grantees. So that is an option if you're interested in your having a training on the toolkit in your own tribal community. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. Really impressive work you guys are doing. I really enjoyed hearing about it all, particularly the policy work. All right, so next up we have somebody coming to us virtually. His name is Stuart Dukpo, and we'll be discussing some of the education work that he's doing through a video.
Greetings, my name is Stuart Dukpo. I am of the Hopi and Laguna tribes. My clan is Sun Forehead, Kalawangwa. The Hopi tribe is located in northeastern Arizona. I am from the village of Sapalavi. I am the Hopi tribe Tobacco Education and Prevention Program Coordinator. The Hopi tribe utilizes natural-grown tobacco, biva, which grows wild in wetland areas on and off the reservation. The use of traditional tobacco, biva, has been practiced since the beginning of time. The Hopi Tribe Tobacco Education and Prevention Program logo reveals everything about our lives as Hopi. In the center, 2 men gather in friendship and acknowledge their relationship with one another to smoke in prayer for all mankind, animals, nature, and Mother Earth. The use of traditional tobacco, biva, is used in all ceremonies for prayer and to breathe life into our ceremonies. As the men smoke, they reaffirm their relationship with one another by stating, "My father, my son, my nephew, my grandfather, my uncle, and my friend," as we are all related to one another. The Hopi are an agricultural people and rely solely on our faith, prayer, and diligent work for rain and snow to provide moisture to grow our food. The 2 men smoking are bordered by a stalk of corn to the right, and to the left side of the logo is the Hopi rain cloud and lightning with different colors of clouds with rain falling in the center. The Hopi sun in the center, also known as our father, Itana, provides light and warmth which all plants need to grow. At the bottom left side is a tobacco pipe, zongo, and a tobacco leaf. The title of my poster, "We Honor Traditional Tobacco, biva for Our." We honor traditional tobacco, biva, for our family. Hopi is a matrilineal society. Therefore, Hopi women are held in high regard. They also bring life, birthing to our families, clans, and tribe. Cultural teachings and traditions are passed from grandmother to mother and then to the daughters. Women are caretakers of the seeds when the crops are harvested. We honor traditional tobacco, biva, for our culture. We pass our songs, dances, and ceremonies for rain and a bountiful harvest to the next generation, just as it was passed to us. We honor traditional tobacco, biva, for our youth. Our Hopi way of life, knowledge, and understanding is passed on to the youth with much hope and prayer. They make sound decisions and choices in a world of uncertainty, and that they remain resilient as our ancestors to keep our cultural ways alive. We honor traditional tobacco, biva, for our environment. Although Hopi live in an arid environment, the Creator has seen fit to provide our people with seeds and plants which provide sustenance for our families and our way of life. We must take care of our Titskwa, the land, and it will take care of us. We honor traditional tobacco, biva, for our covenant. When the Hopi people came into this world, we made a covenant with the Creator, Masao, to use and care for the sacred tobacco, biva, and to carry on our Hopi way of life, which is to plant the sacred seeds that provide nourishment and life for all. We promise to plant our corn, our crops, and to take care of our plants as we would take care of our children. We honor traditional tobacco, biva, for our health. As young children, our uncles would tell us to get up early and greet the sun, Itana, our Father, ask in prayer for strength, good health, and that our collective prayers are answered in the form of rain. Some ceremonies incorporate running to signify the importance of strength and good health for all mankind around the entire world.
Great. Thank you, Stuart, for that wonderful presentation. And so we're actually going to reverse a little bit. We got our AV team in the back that got us set up with Catherine's video. So we're going to go ahead and play that now.
Hello, everybody attending the NTTC conference in person or virtually. We want to thank you all for taking time out of your day to watch this flash talk. We'll begin with introductions.
My name is Matza Sano, and I'm a prevention and policy coordinator at American Indian Cancer Foundation, as well as a public health associate for the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention.
My name is Maymun Hussein, and I go to St. Louis Park High School. I am 17 years old, and I have been with the MSN program for a year and have been working with Kat and Mata for half of that year.
Okay, awesome. We'll get started with the interview. So why were you inspired to do this work with tobacco cessation?
I was inspired to do this work because I am a Somali teenager, and the community I'm targeting at, like, I can relate so much. I speak the language, and I thought to help my community by making a pamphlet with a language they can understand.
And what is something that you learned from working with ACAF?
I learned to be a better researcher and ask for help easily, and I also learned to help my community in a way I couldn't before.
What is one thing that needs to change to see less kids vaping in the future?
I think what needs to change is the industry that advertises vaping. It's like easy to get vaping, but it's not easy to get help for vaping. I also think they need to change because, like, they advertise vaping as something that's fun, something you should do with your friends, something that's cool, something that has flavor and joyful. And I think that's wrong, especially targeting at teenage kids who don't know how to, like, they can help themselves, but not that well.
Okay, yeah.
Nice. And so earlier you talked about wanting to make resources that were tailored to your community. And so I want to ask you, what makes you proud to be Somali?
What makes me proud is that I'm using the language that I speak, my first language, which is Somali, to help and better my community and to inform them about the dangers and how they can get help for, like, if they were dealing with vaping or if they knew someone that was their peer or it was a friend or anything like that. And I thought to help this community by translating my pamphlet into Somali.
Beautiful. And to end out this interview, what are your career goals and what opportunities do you have after this program is ended?
My career goals are maybe to be a dentist. Like, I'm not sure about these career goals, but also something about airplanes, like airplane operator. After this program, I signed up for another internship with Genesis Works, which I did an interview a few weeks ago. Doing this internship, my current internship right now with MSN, inspired me to get out of my comfort zone and go and do another internship during this summer and my senior year.
Awesome.
Best of luck for them.
Yeah.
We enjoyed working with you.
If there is any one last thing you could leave the NTTC participants right now, what would it be?
To get more teenagers into this program. I know like not a lot of teenagers have these options, and I'm lucky to actually have this program and to get help from Mata and Kat and everybody else. But I think to get more teenagers into this program with like different backgrounds could really help.
Yay, good advice.
All right, well, with that, we want to thank you all for your time and watching this interview, and a huge special thanks to Maymoon Hussein and all for her special work that she did.
Great, yep. And let's just give another round of applause for all of the youth that have participated so far today. Okay, I think we have a minute or two for a question. Any from the audience here in person? And while you're thinking, do we have an online question?
Yes, we do. So this is for Ray. Do you have any prizes of any kind for all the applicants who submit videos?
That's a really good question. So we usually have like a first and second prize for each category or theme, and then we do what we call honorable mentions, where if we get something that we just love and we have a vision for how to use it, we will give them like a local gift certificate to one of the businesses that maybe sponsored something, or maybe if we have T-shirts or kind of some of our giveaway items, we'll use that to acknowledge maybe somebody who's not a top prize winner, but gave us something to work with in another way that we'd still like to honor them for their entry. So great question. Thank you.
Great. Any questions from the in-person audience here? All right, great. So what we're going to do is take a quick break now, and you're going to be able to decide when we come back which session you'd like to attend. I think we also have some snacks for during the break for those in person. At 11, our next session will be a concurrent session, so you can choose to come back to this room or Zoom. You can choose which room in there too. For social media and digital approaches, we'll be in the main room. Or you can head to the Johnson room, which is just right in the back, for a session called Policies, Tobacco Prices, Taxes, and Marketing. Again, if you're attending remotely, you received an email this morning containing the Zoom links, and you'll just need to join that Zoom webinar to join that session. So feel free to take about a 15-minute break. Thank you.